Good morning, everyone. It's Joker, and today we are back with another slime video. And today we're going to be talking about the 1.5 anniversary Metal Bazaar. So this is recorded on the 1st. I don't know when it's going to go up. Sometime soon, or next week, who knows. But we're getting close, pretty close. In fact, I could probably buy someone right now if I wanted to go and clear out that the beatdown shop. But some people can, some people are going to be a few days away. But who and what should you buy from this anniversary shop? Because there are a bunch of options. There's, for some reason, guaranteed 5-star tickets, which technically, yeah, you could get 2 of these for the price of 1 character, but it's going to be random, so I would hold off on that. The shards could be valuable, because if there's literally no one in this entire list that you really give a shit about, then you could get shards, and you could use them on someone who you do give a shit about. The same thing goes for the protector shards. They are more expensive, though. I would not recommend getting the 10% 5-star tickets. These are pretty ass. And I also would not get these basic recruit tickets, because they are also pretty ass. Unless you have already purchased whatever you want, and you're like, I don't care. So, and then potions... Don't use these on potions. You want 360 potions instead of a guaranteed unit? Not a good investment. But moving on to the characters, there are good units to pick here, and there are terrible units to pick here. So I'm going to go through this list because I need to make sure I know what this list has, and then I'll be back with my kind of ranking of who you should pick. And this is going to be as unbiased as possible, not based on who I personally need, but who I believe objectively is the best unit for overall average players. Okay, so starting off this list, and this is a not negotiable thing. If you do not have the Masked Hero, you will pick up the Masked Hero. She will change your entire game with having guaranteed crits and the rewind effect, even at level 80. That's all she's there for, is the rewind and crits damage support. Alright? That's going to change your game up, on top of everything else you have. After that, it becomes very subjective as to what you, as a player, need with your box build up right now. Do you have teams focused on blues? Do you have teams focused on greens? Do you have DPS units? Yes? Okay. Do you need some supports to put around them? Yes or no? It's going to be very based on how you want to play and what team you are mainlining. But as a general rule, I would generally urge people to pick up Water Shuna next, because a lot of metas focus on blue orbs. She is a orange to blue converter. She is also an ult buffer, so she is a good support unit for any team that needs it, unless you already have the new EX guy, because he is also an ult buffer and also an orb changer. So they go hand in hand. They just changed 2 different types of orbs. Well, guy changes 3 technically, but you get what I mean, right? Guy's changing 2 greens primarily. Shuna's changing 2 oranges. They both have an ult buff. They're both fantastic units. They can be good on just about any team. So if you have the hero and you have Guy, you probably don't need Water Shuna right now. So who do you pick after that? I would probably go with a DPS unit, based on who you do or do not have already. Hinata, very good DPS option. Diablo Wind is a decent short-term bursty DPS option. Hinata can also be bursty as well. Like, all these DPSs can be bursty, depending on what team you put them on, but that's what their primary metas were focused on. Next up, Lumi is a very outdated nuker, so I really wouldn't consider picking her up. Space Millum, still probably the best on paper by herself single target nuker, because she has her big 50% space buff and the Drago effect, which makes that 50% buff a 60% buff, and her own attack buff goes up, and then any other buff you put on her goes up. So that's why she is still the best nuker in the game. So she's very strong pickup. Next, as far as DPS, like, Light Leon is an AoE unit, would not pick him up. I find very little use for him. Diablo 2.0 Dark. can be a DPS if you want, if you don't have like Anniversary Millum, but I personally would not. His skills are not that great. He does have his own personal 80% alt buff, but if you've already got another alt buffer, you don't need that. You would want him to do something else. And then his guaranteed counterattacks is hilariously bad. Only for random stupid missions that come in, and you really hate those missions. And then there's also Bride Shion down here, who is a very strong unit, who was just being used last meta as a sub-DPS unit. She's got an orb changing, she's got her own buff. She does need someone to give her Pierce, though, so she is kind of dependent on somebody else as a support unit. Very specific type of support unit. So that's why I kind of against that, because at least, like, Diablo gives himself crit, and then Hinata also needs someone to give her crit, but I assume you already have the hero who is going to activate that for you. So once you get done with that, once you get done with your nukers, then the next pick I would have to choose between would be Wind Valentine or Wind Trainee. And for some people, Wind Trainee might be a more important pickup than even another DPS unit because of her viability on, again, blue-focused teams, because she is a special converter for 1 orange and 1 green to 2 blue orbs. And then her second skill gives you 35% alt gauge on your DPS unit, or whoever has the highest attack stat. And that is a huge, especially for EX characters that want EX alts, that need 2 bars of alt. 35% this turn, 35% next turn. That's a lot of alt gauge you're getting essentially for free. So she is a very, very good pickup if you're looking to go that route with a blue focus team enforcing alts, and a stacking team generally. Wind Valentine is good for healing you, and she just got a skill revamp for her heal, and then she is also a special converter, but for green orbs, so 1 blue and 1 orange into 2 greens. Very also strong, very good unit. She's held strong since her release in December of 2021, right? Yeah, it's been a long time since she came out, and she's still pretty dang useful. They're 2 very strong units to pick up after the hero, after Shuna, after some DPS units, or maybe before some DPS units. Really up to you again. And then after that, we get into this whole muddy area of what kind of support do you need? Assuming you have the hero, assuming you have at least 1 good DPS unit, what kind of support does that DPS unit need? If you already have Water Hinata, do you need Shion? Because she has 2 55-point buffs to help Hinata do damage. Yes or no? Okay. Water Alice. Do you need someone to give Pierce? Like if you were running Light Shion, but you have no one to give Pierce, Alice could be a solid pickup because she's an orb changer and she gives Pierce. Who else is down here for supports? Space Rimuru. Honestly, you should probably be rerolling for him, so please don't pick him up. Carrion, solid option, especially because right now he is on the Warrior's Mind team. So he can do that additional damage and still be, I guess, buffed by Velzard's leader skill. And he's got his own permanent crit he's got his temporary crit damage buff. And he's also got orb changing. So he's a very solid pickup, especially since his meta is in right now. The Space 2.0 units, I really cannot recommend that much. I know some people like Velzard, Rain, and Leon. Personally, I find almost no use for them. Sorry if that's one of you. Guy and Veldora are outdated alt buffers, because if you already have Shuna, then you're covered. If you already have the new EX guy, you're covered. You don't really need them. She's not great. She's very, very outdated. Even though she can give Pierce, it's just not what you need. And then like Light Rimuru, it can be solid. I generally use him more for his protection trait, which you're not going to get at level 80, but that's me. And then Daggerel also alongside Benimaru. They have an Orb Steal skill where you can bring him in and you can yoink 2 orbs for themselves now. So you could, in theory, make a 6 orb send with Benimaru or Daggerel in certain scenarios, which can be really powerful in very specific scenarios. So it's cool, and sometimes you will see teams that use it. Keep in mind that's pretty much only for Jubilee, though. It's not really going to help you in the rest of the game. So I would hold off on being like, oh yeah, orb stealing, cool. Only for Jubilees and only for maybe Valor Cup going on right now. So that is really the order of priority that I would give these. So Masked Hero, priority Apex number 1. Water Shuna, very, very good pickup as number 2. Number 3 is any of these elemental nukers that you may need that you're currently missing. And then number 4 is Wind Trainee / Wind Valentine for their viability on different teams and what they can bring to different teams depending on what you need. And then a whole bunch of support units. Whatever other kind of support you need to fill out your team. And as a last resort, only as a last resort, and only if you already have dupes in them, would I consider picking up Earth Millum, Dark Millum, or Gazzle, because they are part of the big 3 for protection traits. Why do I start the game with so much protection gauge? It's because of them. But they have to be level 92, or at least level 84 to even start getting that trait. If this is your first time picking them up and you're like, cool, I'm going to get traits for them and I'm going to get protection gauge, you are wrong. So that is why only if you have nobody else to pick, nobody else interests you here, and like Gazzle is 88, you know, like I want that extra protection trait, then I guess you can pick up Gazzle. But under no circumstances, if you need anybody else in priority, don't pick them up. Leave them for general pools and ticket resets and stuff like that. You'll get them eventually. And there are other units that can do what they do in other setups. So the shards, again, like if you don't need anybody from here, sure, go ahead. If you don't care about anyone from here, sure. I would avoid the tickets though. Those kind of seem like a ripoff. So either get guaranteed shards, that way you can guarantee get someone sharded and like awakened, or actually pick up someone new and interesting that you need, like the hero. So that's it as far as me, as far as like my advice. If you want to know who I'm getting personally, it's either going to be Velzard or Space Carrion, because they're both level 96 for me, and I would like to finish one of them out. And probably, since this Bazaar doesn't go away till, June, we might get enough to get 2 characters there. So I might pick up one, I might hold off the entire time until the Bazaar is about to go away and then see who I pull. And if I do pull Carrion and Velzard, well then I can just choose someone else. But right now, as of recording this video, my eyes are on Carrion and Velzard just to get them done to 100. And that's the only reason. Really the only reason why. But there you go. That's my thoughts on this, my advice, my personal use for it. Let me know in the comments below who you decided to pick out once this video goes live and once you have enough currency. It'll be interesting to see who pulls who and for what reasoning. I am pretty interested to see that. But that's it for me, guys. Take it easy, and I'll see you all later.